welcome to Work the Left Side. I am joined, I'm just really happy to announce this guest. I'm joined this week by the award-winning Priscilla, Queen of the Ring, obviously winning the WTLS Personality of the Year. I still feel shady about saying Personality of the Year. I just couldn't think of a word that summed you up, dude. So it kind of became like a very generic thing, but Personality of the Year. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. I mean, the ego has been boosted, so thank you very much for the award. I like Personality of the Year. I mean, these days I do bugger all wrestling, so personality is about all I go on. It's my entire brand. It's the long and the short of it, and it is quite short. But I'm very glad that it's made enough waves that you folk gave me nice recognition. So no, really, really good, and delighted to be on. Thanks for having me.
Oh, mate, honestly, it's a pleasure. That's you say personality. I think it just that sells it short. It's so much more than that. It's a personality. It's a presence. It's the Priscilla. It's just like I say, it's just a presence in any building, anywhere you are. It's you just like drawn like a magnet for awesomeness.
Well, again, this is the fun of not doing any bumps or wrestling these days. Is again, the last few years I've really worked on bringing in the sports entertainment to British wrestling wherever I can, and it's been really good fun because I do stand out a lot as a result. What started off as a couple of jokes has very much just turned into my identity now as a performer, and yeah, you say so much more. So my entire thing is personality, I guess. And then a lot of padding around the tits area. But honestly, any promoters like listening in, I'm not trying to downplay it. Honestly, I don't do bumps. I barely work for the cash you give me. I am just literally there just to smile and give people a good time. And as soon as they're happy, I'm like, brilliant, cool, roll up, 1, 2, 3, done. And then we bugger off and we let the actual wrestlers go and do their thing and hurt themselves.
I mean, you say this, I don't want to put any expectations on any promoters. If they take you based on what you've just said, awesome. But I was there at True Grit when you had that match against HT Drake.
Dude,
you bumped, man. You made
not
Ziggler look like an amateur.
Well, it wasn't my idea. The man's a beefcake. Like, honestly, he walks in like, oh, he's so strong, and like when he picks you up, you're just going whichever way you want him to. And don't get me wrong, he's a hunk, and I was very happy to go in the direction he took me. It's just the direction kept being up, and then it was very much down very, very quickly. Anybody who so I'm delighted with that match. It's one of my favorite ones of the year. Watching back at the time, I was there going, oh Christ, was that a powerbomb? And what's he doing now? I've got another powerbomb. Are you serious? And you'll see the audience in that match are watching, and they've seen me at True Grit since about a year now. I've been doing shows for them, and they're very used to the Priscilla brand, which is I always tell people it's Hulk Hogan in a dress. And again, I'm probably setting expectations too high because he did a leg drop, and all I do is a slap. That's my entire thing, and I'm proud of it. I got about last time I counted, I think it was 74 different types of slap variations that I have. So to my own horn, I'm probably the most innovative wrestler in the British Isles. It's just that all of my innovation is done with myself firmly planted on 2 feet. That match, however, though, when you watch it, you see people in the audience and they're just like open mouthed, they're turning to their partners going, because they just haven't seen me put through anything like that again. And, God willing, they never will again.
One, done, that's it. But
we did the Rumble a few weeks ago, and again, HT grabbed hold of me and he gave me a couple of big old moves. And I said on Twitter, I said, right, that's my 3 bumps done for the year, and then some. It might even carry me over a bit into 2025. I need to retire.
Good. I mean, like, he hit you with like the spine break. I don't like the drop down back breaker on the shoulder.
I think the kids call it a Canadian backbreaker. I called it just like living hell.
Dude, just like, but I always thought it was a European uppercut, but I think thinking about it, playing it back in my head, it's a European upper slap more than an actual.
Yeah. The old, I mean, as a European wrestler, I'm a big respecter of the old school ways. So, the European uppercut. So it started off as just a bit of a comeback. Like anyone who's seen me will know that it's very very standard that my opponents, whether they intend to or it's accidental, tend to break one of my nails halfway through the match. And when that happens, Priscilla gets mad, and she Priscilla's up, and she gets furious and unloads a whole load of slaps. And when I was doing it for PCW, it was just a bit that kind of started happening. Over the years, it's developed into my entire spiel now. It's just the whole match is, when's that nail going to get broken? When's Priscilla going to get mad? But I realized very quickly that a whole load of Honda style slaps is only going to get you so far. You've got to start innovating. So, the running European upper slap is one. And then after that, it became, I've got to do one with a big roll for extra momentum. And once the rolling slap was getting some traction, I thought, actually, I need to find a more devastating version, which is when the double roll slap came into play. And, I managed to nearly pin someone with that. And I thought, well, if two rolls is going to nearly knock him out, then exactly, see, three rolls is the logical step. Now we'll ignore the fact that I don't have enough room in the ring and have to take a step back, turn around just to get the last roll in, but the momentum is there.
Exactly, the logic's there, right? In the wonderful world of wrestling, the logic makes sense.
Honestly, so I don't call myself a comedy wrestler, but I like to think what I do is fairly funny, and most of it's just around messing around with that logic behind the wrestling psychology. I've tried to break down wrestling psychology in a way that it makes no sense, does a full backflip and comes back, and somehow it seems to be landing. So I got the Personality of the Year award from yourselves, which was awesome. I was delighted with that. I also ranked number 42 in the Queer Outsports ranking, which is actually just the second place if we're just counting the wrestlers from the British Isles. Apart from Harley Better Ass Than Me Hudson, I did pretty well. And I think it's all come down to things like the Sweet Chin Super Slap, where just for anyone who's not too familiar, obviously we do the Shawn Michaels and then at the end, and things like the Claymore slap, where we count down from 3 and do a big bunning slap, and it's the ripcord slap, the classic finishing move, or if I'm really feeling spicy, the ripcord slap with a spin. Spoiler alert, there may or may not be a ripcord double spin slap coming, and I'm saving that bad boy for HT Drake, because the last time I gave him a ripcord slap and he did a full-on backflip out of it, it still wasn't enough to get him, because he's got a very firm chin.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also, as you say, the beard, it cushions a lot of the blows, so I have to really throw it in if I'm going to get there. But yeah, those of you promoters listening in, that is the entirety of my spiel. So please, if you're going to offer me a booking, do not expect anything more than that, because it's not even you'll be lucky. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Dude, a lot of professional wrestlers get by with just 5 moves. You've named it more than that, so it's above average.
Yes, and as a big fan of John Cena as well. I thought the guy's amazing. Honestly, I feel like we need more Supermen in the world. And this, as you've seen my stuff, I'm very much a face, and I play myself as a baby face. I've got the most devastating face in British wrestling. I happen to wear the most sickening heel as well. So when I need to turn it on, I can turn it on. But yeah, I was a big lover of those superhero characters who are genuinely nice guy characters that you can just see as pure, hero, really. And I know it's cheesy for a lot of wrestling fans, and I myself am a miserable bastard outside of wrestling. It's one of the reasons why I try to be so positive when I'm in the ring. But any of the people backstage will tell you that Priscilla is amazing at giving you a compliment, but she never leaves it on the compliment. She always has to say something really hurtful on the way out of the back door. Because I'm a very cynical person, but seeing people like Hulk Hogan and John Cena, it's a good role model, and we need at least one person that is a pure hero, a pure good guy. And even a lot of the out and out faces you see on the scene still have those moments where they get quite nasty. The only reason Priscilla would ever get nasty is if you messed with her hair or messed with her outfit, broke her nail. I mean, that seems to happen frequently. I mean, these bitches won't learn. But you know, it's all about giving that happiness and spreading the joy. And for some people, they hate it. I know some wrestlers in particular who think what I do is dreadful and it's far too cheesy and it's far too much. But I see people's responses, and if I can let people relax for 5 minutes, because again, setting expectations, I'm not out there for a long time. I'm out there for a good time, not a long time. But yeah, I think it's kind of important to, especially for the little kids who come along, they're seeing a lot of legitimate sports people out there who will push themselves and push their opponents to the limit, and that's an amazing story. One which, as a wrestler, which I claim to be, I really enjoy watching, and I will sit down and watch CM Punk and AJ Styles and Seth Rollins have incredible matches, and I mark out like the next mark. I've you know, no shame in it, and I'm like popping in my chair and losing my shit for stuff like the Rumble this year. I don't watch much wrestling these days. I'll go back and watch old WCW stuff because I'm trying to steal as much nonsense as I possibly can. But modern wrestling is incredible, and yet it's so rare that you see somebody that is just a genuine happy person, happy to be here. Doesn't matter what you do, they're just here to have a cheeky, happy time. And so I'm trying to bring my own version of that. And it's probably because I'm a big lover of the 80s style and the 90s style. And I kind of just feel in my later years, now that I've got a bit of silver in my hair, although you wouldn't know it because I wear big bright red wigs, at the end of the day, that is missing in a big way in wrestling. It's all too legit for me. So I try to take legit wrestlers like HT Drake and ruin their night by making them cheesy and funny, and you know, I have a great time and it seems to be getting me over. So I'm going to stick with it for as long as I can.
Dude, speaking from a fan's perspective, it's got you so over. It's to the point, like I said, yeah, you know, I'm the same as you. I want to see some technical stuff. I want to see a bit of this. I want to see a bit of that. But I also want to see just like, so that soul charging goodness, you know, something to smile about, something to cheer for, something where I'm not second guessing myself. It's like, look, this is obviously good guy versus bad guy. I'm cheering the good guy, you know, booing the bad guy. Let's get on with it, kind of thing.
My friends down south. So for anyone who isn't aware, I'm from Portsmouth, but I live up in Manchester. And I always remember that I'm a southerner living in the north this time of the year because, oh my God, it's freezing up here. Yeah, they've got this phrase, which I love, which is they call it good old mums and dads wrestling. It's the kind of wrestling which you would expect to see if pantomime was a wrestling. And I've always said to people that I train that you've got to remember that the audience, some people there are there because they're big fans of NXT, AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE. They're big fans of wrestling. They've seen Will Ospreay and Okada go 70 minutes and have a 6.5 star match. And for those people, they've seen a lot, and for them, a lot of them are coming because they want to see innovative moves. That's why guys like Leon Slater just get so over, because they come up with stuff you've never seen before. And as a long-term wrestling fan, it's very easy to get bored of seeing the same stuff again and again. But there is a lot of people who come to the shows who aren't experienced wrestling fans. It is literally a case of people our age, and obviously I'm not a day over the age of 19, clearly. That line works a lot better when I'm in drag. Now I'm dressed like a bloke, it really just doesn't get over at all. But hey, okay, fine. But no, they come along because, you know, they've got kids now, and their kids are like, you know, 5, 6, 7, 10, you know, 13, 14, and they don't know wrestling. They don't really want to stick them in front of modern wrestling because they haven't watched it in years, but they've got that happy memory of when they were younger, watching the Attitude Era, Rock and Austin, or some, like, go back a bit further, Warrior and Hogan, and they see a poster for the wrestling and they go, oh, there's a person with a mask on, and like, that reminds me of Rey Mysterio. Oh, you know what, kids, let's go to that. And like, they think, you know what, I'm going to go along to this show because it's a little bit different and it'll get the kids out. They can shout and boo, and they, you know, and it's not like it's free either. Like, you're paying for a family ticket, but then on top of that, you're paying for petrol to get you there. If it's not down the road from you, then it's a whole day out for the family. It's like McDonald's for everybody. It's, you know, you might be like, we do shows in Blackpool, for example, PCW, and sorry, your cat is having a really good time in the corner. I'm going to get jealous.
Of all the places in the house you could sit, you have to sit right behind me on the camera. Yes.
Well, listen, you book Priscilla, you're going to get pussy. Oh,
there you go. Gosh.
Anyway, moving on. Sorry, it is going to be that kind of podcast, folks. But it's, I think a lot of the people that I've done seminars with, they think it's just the price of a ticket, and it's not. For a lot of these families who have to fork out on like full-on family meals every day of the week, you know, it's not cheap having a family at all. It drains your money. So I'm very aware that some people are coming for their once every 6 months day out, and they might be going down to Blackpool to do the arcades for a day, but it's not a cheap day. It can cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And for the bloke who's got a job that he doesn't really like, and the narky missus, or the other way around, and they're just kind of like, you know, this is the one night where we can enjoy ourselves. We're just going to go along, bit of casual fun. And they turn up expecting essentially Amdram level of Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior, and what they get instead is several teenagers who are living their dream and trying to prove themselves, and they're doing crazy moves. And if you're not familiar with this stuff, seeing someone as young as like Leon or like the Crash Boat guys going up top, you begin to feel nauseous, because you're like, well, that guy's like, he looks about 17. What's gonna happen? And they do something incredible. But I know full well that some people in the audience are not sat there going, oh, this is amazing. They're going, oh, this might go wrong, and my kids are here, and it can be quite stressful. Now, when I go out there, if I'm opening up a show, I'm going to give you the most simple, basic, obvious thing, because like you say, it makes you relax. You don't feel like you have to put in any legwork in your head. You're not trying to join any dots whatsoever. You can just sit back, boo the bad guy, cheer the good guy. Suddenly Priscilla broke her nail and she's getting really mad, and you just really enjoy yourself. And I try and help people get lost in that moment. And I normally find that once I've done that bit, whether I go out there for 3 minutes or go the full hog and give you 5.5 minutes, by the end of it, people are generally really relaxed, and it tells them more than anything else, this is a professional show where there's performers who know what they're doing. And I always bring it back to pantomime, because when I go to pantomime as an adult, it's really eye-opening. You go along to these things, and as a kid, you remember like, oh, you're just getting involved with the show. As a parent, or I mean, I'm not a parent myself. I've got a cat somewhere, but you know, I don't think it's quite the same responsibility. But we, you know, you go to a pantomime as an adult, it really opened my eyes, because I'm there, you know, I'm not into it. I'm just there because it's my sister's son, or nephew, I think they call him. You know, we're taking him along to his first pantomime. So they're going, oh, go on, Freddie, you know, you can cheer along. But then they come out, and as an adult, you go, hey, and you're kind of into it. And for about 20 minutes, you're like, yeah, this is fun. And you sort of clap, but everybody's expecting the kids to lead it. And then what happens is the drag queen comes out, the dame, and she goes, hello, mums and dads. And everyone, the kids laugh away, and the mums and dads go, ha, 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 ha. And that's what it is. It's not like, I'm not trying to play up. You just literally do a fake laugh, because you're like, oh, okay, this is the bit. And then a really magical thing happens where the dame goes, oh no, maybe daddy hasn't had his special fire water yet. I said, hello, mums and dads. And then you get this really resentful, hello. No, children, be quiet. Now turn to your mummy, turn to your daddy, hold their hands and say, be brave. I'm going to try it one more time. And these people will do it relentlessly, again and again and again, until these adults go, hooray, and actually lose themselves for a minute. And then a really magical thing happens. You get to the interval, and all of these really resentful, stressed out parents who thought they were going to just plug their kids in and relax realize, oh no, I'm leading the charge here. It's my shift. And they all run to the bar and get as many shots in as they possibly can, because they know what's coming now. And then the second half starts, and it always starts with the he's behind you sketch. And by this point, the parents who don't want to be patronized anymore, who want to just meet it head on, and they've had enough like vodka to actually deal with that. They're like, "Wait, he's behind you!" And before you know it, the whole room's lost in that moment. And yeah, I try and teach my trainees to do the same. I call it blackmailing the audience. And basically, and you'll see me do it every single time. Start of the match, I will start, and then I won't wrestle. I'll turn my back to my opponent and go, "Come on then, let's make some noise." And I will just stand there until people make some noise, at which point they get the "well done, good job." And then we do a little bit of wrestling, and then we break away. And again, I stop, turn around, and just wait for the audience to interact. And only when they're already responding to me do I then just leave them be. And I basically teach them, "You fuckers are going to make an absolute ton of noise, because if you don't, I'm just going to stand there and wait for you." And I recommend anybody watching this, or anybody, any sort of budding young wrestlers or old wrestlers who are fed up of taking bumps, like, try it. And you'll see on TV, they do it all the time. Like Randy Orton will stop there and smell the air for a bit. And whereas they all do it, they all smell the air for ages. And audiences have been taught now that as soon as a promo is about to start, everyone's going to stop and wait until you've absolutely lost your shit for them. And WWE have trained their audiences to do that. One thing that we don't do in British wrestling is blackmail the audience enough. So it doesn't matter what your style is. And you know, even Will Ospreay, he does it. He's amazing at doing it. He does it in a cool way. But like Ospreay will do a really, really cool spot, and then he'll get up on one knee and he'll just wait. And he'll slowly acknowledge you once you make the noise. And then once you do, he's like, "Yeah, that's it." And that is the charisma people talk about. It's actually not a natural thing. I'm generally quite shy. That's a complete lie. But I used to be. And the only way that I taught myself otherwise was teaching myself this way of blackmailing people into responding. And I now do it when I meet people. I'm very good at making a comment and then just staring at someone until they interact. And I teach them we're going to talk. But no matter what they say, brilliant, we're having a lovely conversation. It's you've got to, you know, thank somebody for the interaction afterwards. But it's a little magic trick that I picked up. And seeing as I've got about 3 weeks left of my career, I figure I shall pass this on every opportunity I get. So if you're listening in, you're welcome to it. People will think you have charisma, but all you're doing is just waiting and staring at people. And it's an amazing trick, and it really works.
Dude, that is just priceless. But it kind of makes me think of something. I was speaking to a guy called Ethan from Odyssey recently.
Right. Is that his full name, Ethan from Odyssey?
That's what I'm going to call him, Ethan from Odyssey. But he was saying about training the crowd, like similar to what you're sort of saying, you know, like they've got kind of the blueprint there. Like the first match on any show will be a very clear-cut good guy versus bad guy, 8-10 minute match. And it's very clear from as soon as they come out of the curtains, this is who you're cheering for, this is who you're booing.
Yeah.
And that sets the tone for the rest of the card. And because you got to presume like people haven't been to a show before, they don't really know how it works. So you've got to train the audience.
You've got to warm them up. It just doesn't, you know, if even if you're an avid wrestling fan, if you start the show with a real technical masterclass, unless you're a real big wrestling mark going into it, just desperate just to get to the meat of it, then it takes quite a while to get into that kind of stuff. And I'll say this right now, like I said earlier, I'm not just saying it when I say I like the kind of more we call it indie wrestling style, but that's absolute bollocks these days, because it's the style that's all over the sporting style of wrestling, the back and forth, the way of the warrior, who's going to take the most hits and keep on fighting. All of this stuff is amazing storytelling, and I'm a big fan of two wrestlers going at it. I'm just very aware that I can't do that anymore. I've got too much arthritis. My neck hurts too much. I can't turn left without going, "Ah!" It's horrible. And on the other side of it, like you can't go in cold with that. You have to warm up to it.
So just so you're basically Zoolander, because you can't turn left.
I can turn left. I just can't see what's coming until I'm facing it.
Okay. So I was waiting for Priscilla to burst out like blue steel or something. Like,
actually, I'm glad that I've broken the ice, because I just need to click my neck back into place, because Oh, there we go. Like
There we
genuinely, I
go.
was really twinging. But I can do a hell of a blue steel.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. See, Priscilla takes a good photo. She knows what she's doing.
Talk about Priscilla. You know, dude, the fan base. You know, we're on about getting over. You've got some awesome fans. You know, whenever I've seen you on a show, there's always a Priscilla section.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Priscilla section is usually the entire room by the time I'm done with the match. But certainly when I first come out, I'm really enjoying now that when my music starts playing, generally speaking, there's at least 2 or 3. Oh my God, it's Priscilla! That I hear on the other side of the curtain, and I go, yeah, this is my room. Right, there we go. It's gonna be good. Like True Grit is amazing. For anyone that doesn't know, they do shows in this old deconsecrated church. So it's an amazing looking venue. It's horrible getting changed in it because you're out back in like the real cold. I don't know what they call them, but all like the areas where you have out back. So it's amazing to look around, but at the same time, we're all there in our like tighty whities covered in oil, freezing. But the audience is incredible. However, I don't know how it happened, but over time, I seem to have this really interesting dynamic with them. And to be fair, I kind of have it in a lot of places I go to now. I like to hang out in the audience after a show or during the show. I clicked a few years ago that there was no point in being too cool for school. Like the people in the room who paid tickets are the exact people that I want to be drinking with because they're wrestling fans like me. And most of the wrestlers are kind of 18 to like 23, and they're all like stone cold sober, and like they're because they're athletes and really trying to make it in this sporting profession. Whereas me, I'm like no, I want to get a beer. I'm gonna order some food from Uber and just kind of sit out back and just chat to these people who are getting drunk, enjoying wrestling. 'Cause these are my people, and I've been out with a few wrestling fans just on the lash because I'd rather be out with people like that than. I mean, I hope they don't listen, but half the people that I work with, because I've got more in common with these people and they are my drinking buddies. And over time, because I do this, it means that I go out there and I know half the audience by name. And you'll see me just, even when I'm selling beer, like, oh, you're right there, Peter. How you doing? Oh, I love the top, by the way. It's gorgeous. No, that really hurt. Honestly, it sucks. It was really, really painful, horrible stuff. I did try it on the other day when we did the Rumble for True Grit. Leanne Austin came out, and she wasn't getting in the ring, and she was kind of messing around with the fans, and that was fine until she went after the one that I fancied, and I was really annoyed by that because she sat down next to him. I'm like, no, hang on, this is my fella. So you might see it when they release the show, but there's a point where I'm like in the corner and I just bat the guy away from me, and I'm like, are you serious? Get off his lap and get in the ring. That's my man right there. And we had a full-on argument about it. And then when I got thrown out of the ring because I was really jealous, I had to go sit on his lap as well. And by that point, he'd already got her phone number and he had no interest in me anymore. So me and her have some unfinished business.
Wow, there you go, JC. That is a future match right there. That will make.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's money, but it will be these slaps. I can pull them or I can't. And with her, I'd really struggle. Now we used to be friends.
There we go. You see, that'll just be like. Oh, British strong style taken up a notch, just British slap style.
Absolutely. I'm so delighted you had me on the show, by the way, because as I always swing with my right, I do actually work the left side. I just think I'm the only wrestler, maybe in the world, that works the cheek as opposed to the arm or the leg. I'm always working on that left side. You say about the fans, so I did a show for Rise over in Leeds, and I won't drop names because it's not right to do so. But after the show that I did, they came up and told me, oh, there's a guy downstairs who really, really wants to meet you. He's kind of sat in the back, but he's made a real earnest request for you to come down. So all right, fine. I went down, and this fellow, he was, quite a large bloke, really. I thought, oh, this guy looks like a bit of a bear, like he would batter someone. But as soon as he started talking, I realised that definitely not the case. But he said hello to me, and within about 3 words, he had burst into tears and fell about the place. And I'm going to get emotional, but he basically said to me that he lives up in Scotland, so he'd never been to one of my shows before, but he'd seen me online. And he had told me how he'd spent years struggling with his own kind of anxieties, and really didn't feel comfortable when he went out into big groups of people. And that had always been a big struggle for him, because he'd always wanted to be a very sociable person. However, he had been going through a very dark period that could have gone a lot worse from what he was saying. And he said one of the things that got him through it was seeing my stuff. Now, I've got to emphasize that this gentleman isn't a queer fellow himself. He's not gay. He wasn't coming out of the closet. But he said to me, just seeing you be willing to be so ridiculous in a room full of people who are also very uptight and trying to be cool and looking for a cool thing, and you try so hard not to be, you just, he said, just yourself. I'm not myself, Priscilla. I'm a souped up version of all the things that I wish I could be. That's one thing that's great about wrestling. You get to perform and deliver the story you want to. But he said, having seen me do that, it really inspired him to pick himself up and go, yeah, you know what, actually, like, if this silly queen can go out and look that ridiculous and have a good time doing it, then honestly, there's nothing wrong with this. And he said he really managed to find himself going out, making friends and such. And he'd come all the way down from Scotland just to see me live. And this poor guy is blubbing. All of this is during a hug while he's like kind of falling about. But it was really touching. And it's not the only time I've had it. I've had it from people of all sorts of ages. And I mean, the whole range of ages. I've seen 4-year-olds just fall to pieces at the sight of me, because they suddenly realize actually boundaries are very much what you make them. And if you choose to step out and of whatever your closet is, whether it's sexuality, gender, whether it's just being a confident person day to day, or just being weird and owning it, like it's really possible. The real key to it is just to not care when people have got a problem. Like, people are nowhere near as violent and mean as you think they are, but you build it up in your heads to the point that you build up these walls, and people can lose decades of their life just sat in their front room, when really just go down to the bar and just make some friends. It's actually not that difficult, but you just have to believe in yourself. And I'd like to think I've helped people with that.
Well, I mean, you don't have to think you have. I mean, based on just that one example, you obviously very clearly have helped, at least one person.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I'm just trying to be coy about it, but no, I've done quite well.
No, toot your horn, sing your praises.
I do like to toot my own horn, toot. That's why I'm so glad you had me on today.
I think that's what we're here for. It's so you can do stuff like that. But you mentioned, people like this dude up in Scotland seeing your stuff, like on YouTube, social media. I'm just like a massive advocate of promoters and wrestlers, getting the stuff on YouTube, getting as much as they can do on social medias.
Yeah.
Because you've got so many eyes out there to look at it. It makes sense for me. That's just promotion for free.
It's not just promotion either. It's building relationships. Social media, people forget the first word of that, social. They focus so much on the media. And again, and I know full well that no budding young wrestlers are going to go, I'm going to tune into Priscilla's episode to learn how to be a worker, and they're idiots and morons for it. But if you're listening to this right now, you can be confident knowing that you're not an idiot or a moron. You are smart enough to have a little listen to Priscilla. But a piece of advice I often give people is when they're going on to social media, people don't really know how to train it. And I, day to day, Monday to Friday, I'm a professional networker, and I do marketing and help loads of companies with their own marketing programs. So I've got a bit of an unfair advantage here. But one thing I try and explain to people is that you've got two parts of social media. One part is your brand, and that's what you see when you click on to a person's Facebook, Twitter, Insta. There's a thing called TikTok. I can't work my video camera, so I've heard rumors. But with that, that's the place where you put your pictures, where you put your videos. And my whole ethos is that you've got to be able to see within a snapshot of going on someone's page what they're all about. So you want the nice, cool profile picture where you look hot and awesome. You also want the big banner in the background where it shows one spectacular shot of you doing a dive, or in my case, like a slap while you're blown up. But you basically want someone to go, oh, Right. And sure enough, if you go on Priscilla's Twitter page, you go, oh, that's a drag queen who is a wrestler, because you see a photo of Priscilla in a wrestling ring surrounded by people losing their shit for me. And the photo is me looking all shocked with big tits and the big wig. Like, it's very obvious very quickly who I am. My little tagline, it's not, oh, DMs open for bookings. It's drag queen, total nonsense, does slaps, no bumps. Like, it's very much tells you who I am. However, people forget the social side, and I've gotten more work from liking, sharing other people's shows, liking, sharing other people's clips and videos and pictures, saying, God, have you seen this guy? You can do a Swanton 450. It's amazing. I've realized as I say that I don't think I've ever actually shared any of Leon's Swanton 450. So I'm going to be doing that when I get back on in a minute, just for continuity. Oh, hey, Pash. This is the cat, by the way.
Hey. Yeah, at least he's more behaved than mine is. You know, he's not getting graphic on screen.
She was having her fun in the background. I was pushing her away. We didn't want any of that X-rated stuff on this side, because I'm innocent. I'm sweet. You don't have to be dangerous to have fun, kids.
I'm the bad influence, dude. I apologise.
That's probably why she's come on the camera, though. She wants to get closer to the action. But yeah, in terms of actual interacting, I've found that I have gotten a lot of work just off the back of sharing other people's stuff, talking about other people's shows, or even just knowing what the people that follow me like. Like, I've got a lot of people that are very into queer stuff, a lot of people from broken families who don't feel like they fit in. So I share a lot of content around mental health and around like taking care of yourself. I share a lot of stuff around RuPaul, and anything that's remotely queer goes on my feed, because that's the kind of stuff that people want to chat about who like my stuff. But on the other side, people are so busy trying to get over that they put up their best videos. I get far more over than they do by sharing their videos, because they go, oh, thank you so much. I was desperate for someone to see that, and you've shared it 3 times this week. And I just, honestly, it means so much. And then guess what happens? Every time I put up a picture or a post, all of these people are like, yeah, doing it. And a friend of mine said that I'm the most evil, nice guy they ever met, because it's all calculated. And I wouldn't say it's calculated. It's done because I understand the benefit of doing it and understand the reason. But also, on an evening, I know the pain, because I spent 20 odd years doing it, posting up a highlight video that I've spent 3 weeks making and maybe 50 quid getting someone to put together, and sat there refreshing, waiting for another like, refreshing. You know, you get the like from your auntie and you go, well, cheers, auntie, mate. But at the same time, like, you're not Vince McMahon, so and you get really down on yourself and you go into a rabbit hole. Whereas I now spend my whole evenings chatting to other people who like wrestling, who are massively grateful because I've seen their stuff, which is genuinely really cool. And I'm like, has anyone seen this really cool thing? And they're super grateful. We get chatting, and 10 minutes later, we're talking about like Kane versus Undertaker, that the 7th time they did it, and having like a genuine chat and a genuinely nice conversation. And these are the conversations I have with promoters, because I interact with them in the same way. And sometimes you get work, sometimes you don't, but you do make friends consistently. And I like making friends, so it works for me, and I really recommend it to people who want to like get out there, get their name out there. Someone told me it was licking arse once, and I said, well, listen, honestly, darling, I'm really into rim jobs, so no apologies whatsoever. It's just the way I like acting online.
But it's not, that's the thing though, and it's such a thin line, or it's such a skeptic point of view to you being nice, you're licking arse. It's like, I'm generally just, I treat social media, or I interact on social media as I would want to be interacted with.
Yes.
And
it's really simple. Like, yeah, exactly. That energy that you hope to get from other people, when you put it out there, it does come back. Like, don't get me wrong. You share 10 videos, you're not going to get every one of those people like loving your stuff forever, but you get some people that stick. And if you spend every week adding extra people into that feed, you end up building a really nice network. And I keep saying to people that I've been trying to build my pub garden friendship group, because I've realized, well, I've traveled around the country over the years. I've never really settled down in one place. I've been here now for 3 years, and it's the longest time I've lived anywhere since uni. And I'm finally beginning to settle down. And it's because I've realized my knees don't work properly. I'm getting grey in my hair and I'm feeling old. I've got crow's feet. This is why I wear the makeup, actually. It's not because I'm a drag queen. I'm just trying to cover the fact that I'm getting old. And what ends up happening is you kind of, well, yeah, you end up getting lonely because you don't have any like genuine friendship connections. So I've been trying really hard these last few years to make genuine connections. And now I'm delighted to say that I could have probably named less than 5 people 5 years ago that I regularly saw outside of wrestling. I'd have to go to a wrestling show to be able to socialize with my friends. But I was very aware they weren't really my friends. They're more my colleagues that we have a good time with, but they weren't like real, genuine connections that I saw on a Thursday or when I was feeling a bit down and fancied a pint because I'd had a long day. Whereas because I've changed the way I interact with people, and I now very much ask everyone that I make friends with, hey, like, what are you doing the weekend? Like, let's go hang out for a little bit. And a lot of times they're not interested, and that's fine. But over time doing that, I found people now that I regularly do see. I live with Mark Adams, and he's been a great housemate. But he's one of the first people that I was like, do you fancy just meeting up and going for a coffee? And we hit it off, and we were like a real genuine friendship that has, it's been really nice to me, and it helped me open up to a lot of other people as well, realizing, oh, there is potential that's not just at these shows. We can hang out, talk about life, we can have a drink, we can complain about relationships, and now I can hear the relationships banging away in the next door, because honestly, that guy gets so much sex, it's unreal. I'm like a dried up well over here, but he's like, you can literally hear the flowing coming from next door.
It's the Red Dwarf podcast, man. It gets action.
Oh, so every single Monday night, I come in and I while myself away in the room. I do a lot of work in the evenings anyway, so I get the laptop out and I throw on the emails. But between sort of 7 and about 1 a.m., he goes through a series of podcasts he does. He's got his Red Dwarf one. He's got one on Chucky Vision, which is actually really good. I'd never seen a Chucky movie till I moved in with him, and they're incredible. I love watching horrors with him. He's great fun. But yeah, I hear him in this room for hours chatting away to people, and as a big Red Dwarf fan, I'm sat there like hearing clips and all these memories and getting this inside scoop on stuff which I didn't know before. But it is a bit bizarre because I'm just kind of in my room all quiet, hearing kind of the tinny sound of half a podcast, and I only get his half of it too. And I've got to be careful if I ever step outside the room as well, because if he clocks me, it's Priscilla! And all of a sudden I'm doing a live appearance going, oh God, right, I'm on a podcast and I'm going to do my hair.
Being like the cat in the background, just like, getting sort of wardrobe dressed. That's awesome. Kudos as well. I didn't know, I knew Mark was a Red Dwarfer. I didn't know you was a Dwarfer as well, so...
Listen, I wouldn't say that I'm in any way. I couldn't hold a conversation around it because I have to make half references. I don't know the names of any actors. But last year we did Comic-Con down in Wales with PCW, and the boss man, Stephen Fludder. I don't call him the boss man because that's what I refer to him at my day job. I forget everyone listening to this is going to know who Fludder is. Yeah, he was like, oh, we're going to get us a photo with the Red Dwarf cast. And they had the guys that played the Cats and Lister. And I had spent the whole day being so arrogant, going, oh, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to walk up to him, do the big old salute. I'm going to go, wow, and like run around. And I'm normally very good when I meet like wrestling stars. I've got no nervousness when I meet celebrities whatsoever. I remember meeting Rene Dupree, and to be fair, I didn't actually know who he was. Well, I did know who he was, but I didn't recognise him. So I was chatting to him for like half an hour and walked off. They were like, bloody hell, you're confident. It's like, sorry, was it? Oh, is he not a trainee? They're like, no, that's Rene Dupree. But that's normally how I interact. Like when I met Mick Foley, I missed him walking through a door, and he came up to me later and goes, oh, I love the gimmick, man. I was like, oh, awesome, cheers. Who are you? No, I'm only joking, you're Mick fucking Foley. And I love having that kind of interaction. It's great. So I was really confident, walked into the room, Kat and Lister are there, and I was tongue-tied, legit. I walked right up, and Lister was like right up in my face. And actually, Lister, oh God, no, it wasn't Lister, it was Craig Charles. See, this is how bad a fan I am. And I'm talking about the guy who plays Rimmer. So miles off, but yeah, seeing him, hearing his actual voice, because he's like, oh, come over here, stand there. I was like, that's Rimmer. Oh my God. And I was absolutely starstruck. And I must, honestly, my mouth must have been open. And I walked up to him and I tried to talk and I couldn't. And he was smiling at me. Like, obviously he's had this interaction a million times before. And eventually I worked up the courage and went, honestly, I like to think that I'm a very confident performer. And you can see I'm still in drag. Like, this is what I do. But like, you taught me what being funny was. And he just went, no, thanks. But I walked away. They're all going, well, you said you was going to. I said, no, I don't care. I've just, that was one of the most magic things I ever met. And the other cool thing was that the original Johnny Five was there as well. He wasn't switched on, but he was there. The short circuit robot, for those of you who aren't like 1 foot in the grave like me. That was a very cool day. I enjoyed that. Dreadful wrestling, but lovely experiences.
Oh, there we go. Silver lining. Yeah, I love those kind of. I went to Manchester one last year because my other half, Jensen Ackles, was there from Supernatural, The Boys.
Okay. I know The
like,
Boys.
Yeah, he played Soldier Boy in the last series.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, cool. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Cool. My youngest is named after him. So as soon as he was announced, my other half was like, I was like, right, Christmas present, anniversary. It was a 10th anniversary, so for her anniversary, she got to cuddle this awesome-looking dude, you know. So
congratulations to her.
Yeah. Good husband, you know what I mean? She's got to get me some point, surely.
Honestly, I remember a time where I was dating my ex, and she was really into John Morrison, and he came over to the UK, and she was like, "All right, I'm going to buy a ticket." It's like, "No, we are going to buy a ticket, and I'm going to be very, very cool about this." And the whole time they were chatting on the stand, I was just staring, and he kept looking over at me, and eventually he just smiled and like pushed her back. I was like, "Yeah, you're fucking right. Yeah, cheers. Thanks very much. Did you have a good time, babe?" Yeah, great.
Oh, Morrison. I think I was talking to RJ Singh, wrestled him once, and he sort of said he's the most ridiculously good-looking guy you'd ever meet in person. It was just like, yeah, I could just imagine just being like, yeah, like, no, get away from him, yeah, so come back.
Yeah, like the man is better looking in person than he is on camera, and it's you know, some people are just very, very, very fortunate, and he's got like beautiful wavy hair, and the forearms are huge, because you expect everything, you expect him to be a big guy, and when I'm going up to the signing, I shook his hand, and I just went, your forearms are bigger than my head. Like, I expected the abs. And I expected the thighs, and I know when you get your top off later, the shoulders and the chest's going to come out. But just the forearms are incredible. And he goes, thank you, man. It's all natural. It's not all natural. Hey,
dude.
You're getting the inside scoop with Priscilla right here.
That's the badger, man. That's I mean, well, we'll rewind obviously a little bit, you know. We kind of hit the ground running and just keeping it up to date. But obviously, dude, I've known you for like 10 plus years. You know, we first met, you know, BWA days. You know, I had Gareth on a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, I still talk to Nash. You know, with Disco Wes, who's currently EGW champion. You've come a long way, man. You know, since Wibsy Top.
No. I've gone a long way back now. Disco Wes has gone a long way. He's incredible. Like, he's a transformed being from a guy that was quite nervous back in the day and quite shy. He's like, the man main events all over the Northwest, and he's an incredible performer. When I'm not being funny, he used to botch all around back in the BWA days, but these days he's incredible. Well, I've very much stepped back. Where, as you know, I used to be doing dives, flip pile drivers, always trying to prove myself every show, having matches with Louis Ripper where we were doing like top rope DDTs and real stupid stuff, which I love and I feel nostalgic watching back. But I was very much trying to show that even if you're wearing drag, you can still be a great performer. Whereas now I'm like, no. I am Hulk Hogan in a dress. I'm proud of it, and it's great. But yeah, that's such a throwback, like the working men's clubs back then, and like, because I wasn't always very well. I didn't always go down very well back in those days, especially around the Yorkshire area. I spent maybe 5-6 years wrestling around West Yorkshire, and I loved it. It was an incredible experience, but there were times where I very much feared for myself. And I had a match with Chris Chavis once upon a time where literally at the end of our match, the audience was so hostile to me that he went, right, we've got the engine running, get in the car right now, we're going to drive you a couple of blocks down just for your safety. And we literally all pegged it. Like, they made a point of keeping the people in the room for a bit longer because we were all a little bit worried how it was going to go down. Very different atmosphere these days. But I'll tell you one thing, people from BWA are some of the most genuine people I've ever met. Nash is, he's one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet, an incredible family man as well, and just so genuine. Like, whenever I see him, we both have a real lovely hug and a gorgeous catch up. And I mean, like the last True Rich show, me and him went off walking for an hour, just walked around Leeds, just catching up and getting to know each other all over again. And funny you mentioned Gareth. I was on the phone to him last night. I was very drunk after a night out, and he messaged me, and so we were on the phone until about 1 a.m. just catching up and like talking over old times. And they're the sort of people that I don't always necessarily speak to every day. I may not see them for, well, in Gareth's case, several years at a time. But when we catch each other on that rare moment when we've got a bit of time, the connection it's like you're just back there again 10 years ago. And it's quite magic. I was very fortunate to perform with that lot because they're all pretty special. Even Louis, you know, he doesn't wrestle anymore, but he's been running gyms now for years, and he's got his kids, and he's such a proud dad. And his social media got nothing to do with wrestling. It's got nothing to do with the gym. It's all about what he does with his family. And I feel so warm seeing these people around and seeing people grow into like fully fledged human beings with like, you know, proper grown up lives. Speaking of which, I got myself a new mattress yesterday. This is why I'm drinking. I'm celebrating. I've just got my first Simba mattress, and I know that I'm reaching a certain age because I'm so excited to just have a good night's sleep tonight. But that's the kind of age that we've all reached now, and it's really warming to be able to reconnect with people like that again, and yourself, of course.
I had that moment about 4 months ago. We moved house about 5 months ago. It was like new house, solid new mattress, you know, that's it. And yeah, just the general excitement. It was like yeah, there we go. Bought an air fryer a couple of months ago. Oh, I finally joined. People have been on at me for years. Get an air fryer, they're awesome. No, finally got one. Buzzing, sat there playing around with it.
I'm the one guy in the office who hasn't got his air fryer yet, and everyone keeps telling me. But I've gone down a different route. The last few months, I've got myself a slow cooker. I got myself a food processor. And yeah, I know, I got myself a coffee machine as well. I'm getting all the mod cons bit by bit. Over Christmas, I went to Stephanie Sterling's for Christmas. And for anyone who doesn't know, Stephanie Sterling is a ridiculously famous YouTuber who is far too famous to be in British wrestling. And yet at the same time, they had a dream to be a wrestler, and they started coming along, and they're an incredible performer. Very different to a lot of the people you see out there. Steph is a essentially gay Kane. When I first met them, I went, you know, you really remind me of Kane. And they went, oh my God, nobody's ever said that. But Kane's my favourite wrestler. I can't believe you see that. I said, well, you're a monster, but you're a lovable monster. And I'm a big fan. Yeah, loads of chokeslams. Hate wrestling, Steph. I don't like taking bumps. And and you have to bump a few times when you wrestle stuff. But yeah, I decided to spend Christmas up north, and they invited me over to theirs. And because I was feeling a bit excited, I went, right, I want to have a crack at making Christmas dinner this year. So I'm very proud to say that I did Christmas dinner for 5 of us. And the big mountain I wanted to climb was doing a beef Wellington.
Wow. Talk about going straight in the deep end.
Well, I've done plenty of roast dinners over the last few years. I want to just be really clear. It's not like I've never cooked before and went, right, I'm going to try beef Wellington. But it was very much a case of I need to give this a go. So, you know, I went to the butcher's a few weeks before, got myself a tender. I was like, you know, because it takes like 3 or 4 days to put together. I'm just realizing Anybody who's tuning into this going, oh, we're going to get like a really serious wrestling bit now, where can we derailed? This is full on middle-aged bullshit now. But like, I spent like 4 days on this thing, and on the day we were putting it together, and halfway through I realized I hadn't like yoked the bottom properly, so it was getting to a soggy bottom, and it was like a 4-person operation of like cradling this thing in foil, and we're all like moving it. We had a piece of like cotton, because they do loads of like arts and crafts at home, and we're like using the cotton to like carefully separate the bottom, and we're like, oh, take some time, it's okay. We eventually managed to turn the thing over, and then we're like, right, get that egg on it, right, we've got to cook the bottom now. And I'm delighted to say it came out really, really well. But it was a double thumbs up. I was really, really pleased with myself. And when we served, I suddenly remembered that almost everyone in the room was a vegan, so I was like, my own beef Wellington. And I was delighted. I had a whole Wellington to myself. It was great. But, you know, everyone could admire and go, ooh. And they knew it was a big milestone. But that's why I got all the extra bits, because I'm like, right now I've got to be doing like pulled pork now. I'm doing like all of my stews and all of this nonsense, and the food processor. I can make a mean potato dauphinoise. All my days, I can dauphinoise them potatoes like nobody's business. I don't know how we got onto this, but basically, I'm old now and I don't do bumps. I do Wellington.
That's it. Just a few more bumps and then catering. I don't know, just right. You said something earlier about, you know, you're trying to get all the advice out within the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, right. I'm trying to think. Right, we've got True Grit York next week. What's happening in 3 weeks? Why are you getting all your advice out?
Well, my joke was that I was retiring. So it seems that ever since I decided I was going to retire, I've been inundated with booking offers. And I'm like, can you all please stop? Because it's a nice compliment. And I've got too much ADHD to say no to anything. But at the same time, like, come on, Queen's old. I was delighted. So with True Grit, I started out as the ring announcer. JC had this crazy idea about having a drag queen ring announcer, and he asked me if I knew any, and then 5 minutes later backpedaled and went, oh, but you could do it if you want. I went, oh, cheers, thanks. But you know, I went with it and gave it a run, and people kept asking, oh, you know, is Priscilla going to wrestle? So we decided eventually, right, we're going to have Priscilla versus Stephanie Sterling, because people kind of knew us as being friends, because again, we talk with the audience the whole time, so they all just knew us. And I joked when Steph went, right, I want a match with you. And I went, oh, Steph, you know, I'm 6 days from retirement, darling. And then what we got was my proudest achievement ever as a wrestler. This chant happens just spontaneously. And I don't think I've ever heard this chant for any other wrestler. And I can tell you now, this is the chant that every single promoter wants to hear, or every wrestler wants your promoter to hear, which was, we'll buy tickets. We'll buy tickets. And since then, I've really lent on that. No, this is me. I'm done. I can't be bothered anymore. I'm not doing any more of this. And the more I say no, the more relentlessly I get offered work. It's really nice. I'm toying with the idea of doing my first tour of the States in my mid-30s. And honestly, I know that I don't physically want to, but I've had like 4 different offers, and I'm pretty sure that if I just say no a few more times, then I can get WWE. So we'll see.
Just working your way up.
Yeah. One no at a time, darling.
That's awesome. Well, dude, that would be an amazing experience, though. But even if you do retire, you know, it's wrestling. You could do a Mick Foley and be back in 14 days, or do a Ric Flair and, you know, come back 5 times.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, again, just to adjust expectations, I do less bumps than Ric Flair does these days. So that's the kind of level you're looking at with Priscilla. Yeah, well, the nice thing with what I do, especially the style that I've adopted in recent years, is that my brand is that I'm old and I don't do shit. So, you know, people that will never change, and I can do that in my 60s as well as I can do it now in my 30s. So I will come back time to time. I don't know when I'm going to quit. Like the way I'm going, I'll be wrestling for another 10 years on every weekend. But I keep saying, you know, I'm getting old. The reality is that everything hurts. And I want to be able to have sex when I'm in my 40s, let alone my 50s and 60s. And I don't want to be in a wheelchair, you know. I'm trying to balance, weigh it all up. One thing that will happen...
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
One thing that I will say is that when I do retire, it won't stop me being at wrestling shows. Because, like I say, I've clocked on and realised that these people that go to wrestling shows and get drunk watching wrestling, that's literally what I enjoy doing. So I'm going to be in the audience, if anything, leading the charge with the chants, because it's what I like, it's what I enjoy. It's great fun, and I'm not shy enough to admit it either. So you know, like, I'm settling down, but at the same time, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to be on the other side of the barrier and having a good time. And sure enough, I will be that old codger who walks up to the wrestlers after the show going, you know what, lad? Back in the 2000s, I used to wrestle. I wore a dress, and they'll go, what? But I like to think they'll Google me later and learn a thing or two.
That's it.
It's me. Lovely one.
They'll learn the fear, the fear, the stare, just the prompting somebody to react to you.
The blackmailing of the audience.
The blackmailing.
Yes.
That's it. That's the Priscilla blackmail. That's what we shall call it.
It's a very effective, very successful route to getting over.
Dude, we haven't talked about half of what I wanted to talk about, but we have hit the hour mark. So
yeah, I know, I'm sorry, the beef Wellington really took up some time there, didn't it?
It's my own fault when I started talking about mattresses and slow cookers and air fryers and stuff as well. So 50-50. But I know it's just been a really good conversation. It's just it's flown by. I would like to say we'll do it again at some point down the line, and we can talk about other stuff.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about having a crack at Coco Van next week, so we'll come back on and chat about that. And
just tell me how it goes anyway. I don't care. I'll post it on Twitter with them an update, and then I'll do a 10-minute episode. Just give it, let them know, keep them in the loop.
And here's the evidence right here. If you have genuine interactions with people, it's far more rewarding, and they interact with you far more, because it's much more fun than going, well, what I really want to do is wrestle in Japan in the Tokyo Dome. I wouldn't say no. Well, I would say no just to make sure I got the booking. But it's life doesn't have to be that hard. You just sit back with a glass of wine, have a good time, and we'll get drunk. I don't know if this is going to be any fun to watch back, but I'm having fun doing it.
Dude, it will be, man. It's genuine, and that's that's like I said. The whole mantra for this sort of thing is it's just fun. It's genuine. It's just two dudes chatting, or two people chatting about wrestling, which is why people are watching this in the first place. So there we go. Right, dude, where can people sort of see your stuff, plug your socials? Where can they be social?
I wouldn't recommend it if I were you, to be honest. You've got far, far better things to do. But if you really, really want to check me out, then I'm on virtually everything that old men are on. So Facebook, Twitter, sometimes Instagram. You find me on Priscilla QOTR. That's QOTR as in Queen of the Ring, not as in Couture, it's Priscilla. But that does also work. Although, again, just to adjust expectations, it is literally just the feed of me posting like how grumpy I am about work and photos of the food that I made. And yes, the beef Wellington is on there. So there's more of that than there is of wrestling. On the other side, really recommend people check out YouTube for PCW and True Grit Wrestling. I don't really post to YouTube too much anymore, but those are the two places where I perform for the most. Those are the folks that keep a roof over my head and pay my bills. But the nice thing with both companies is that in recent years, they've started posting a lot more content. PCW has got full shows available. Our Christmas show is dreadful and it's unmissable. I'm in an elf on a shelf ladder match where the winner has to sit on the top of the ladder dressed as an elf, and it is as ridiculous and bad as that sounds. I'm going to say right now it's the most innovative ladder match since Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. It's probably the worst ladder match that has ever occurred, but it's certainly the most innovative. You haven't seen anything that happens in that before. And then the other side, True Grit, unbelievable content they're coming out with daily. They're releasing so much stuff. My match with HC Drake, my match with Stephanie Sterling's there, and they're about to release their full Rumble show. Give them a like, give them a follow, because JC is putting money into creating that content. And I don't know if he's making it back, but I do know that he put so much into the shows that we're on, and it's so professional and so well put together, comes across really well. Mark's doing the commentary for it, and he's incredible on commentary. So those two things, BCW True Grit, check them out, because they're putting out some top class stuff. And like Leon Slater's all over it as well, doing really cool stuff with like Crash Boat, and JG Nash is on there if you fancy going out for a smoke. And there's some really but it's top quality stuff. It's the best of British wrestling that I know, and it's only a little bit because I'm on it.
Poor Nash Boat. But you've besmirched Paul Ace Matthews with the association with Nash there. You know, people
No. Matthews besmirched himself with his association. Nash has not changed since day one. And day one he went, I don't know what I'm doing. So I appreciate your trying to sign off, and I do apologise. But now that I've thought of it, a little story, and my last little anecdote, which is about wrestling. When I wrestled JG Nash the first time, this was back in BWA days, not for BWA. I was working for KNS Wrestling, short for Keith and Sue Wrestling. It's run by a couple called Sue and Keith. But we did this match, and I was a control freak back then, and I would plan so much stuff, and it would all be crazy spots. And he's backstage going, yeah, sure, okay then. And I'm stood in the ring, all uptight, ready to wrestle, because I never used to have fun back those days. And he comes out, does his entrance, gets in the ring, and he goes, yep, I've forgotten the whole match, and then gets back out and just carries on with his entrance. And I stood there. He left me for 5 minutes while he wandered up and down, and I was so stressed. I got dizzy, and and he has not improved a jot. However, he's so much fun to watch, although Matthews has got a lot of patience to deal with that. I only presume that JC offered him a lot of money, because, I wouldn't fucking do it.
They get the money from the Ducks. Yeah, every single penny from the Ducks goes in the pocket. That's what it is.
They make bank from them. Yeah, that's the thing with True Grit. If you come to a live show, not only do you get live wrestling action, but you can buy rubber ducks that you can take home with you or throw at the wrestlers. I didn't say that, but I know how I'd spend my money. Give me 30.
Dude, obviously, I'm always going to endorse True Grit. We sponsor them. So,
sorry, I didn't know that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It went towards this wine today, which is very, very nice. So appreciate that.
That's all right. Obviously, I'm going to link you in on all the stuff when I post this up as well anyway. So if you're not following, please obviously hit follow, check out, Priscilla's stuff, look at the posters, look at the shows, buy a ticket, go show some love.
I'll turn in the other direction when she's actually wrestling, because it's very disappointing.
No, I disagree. Wholeheartedly join in, cheer, embrace the blackmail, and enjoy the show.
Personality of the year right here, bitches.
Exactly.
Definitely not wrestler of the year, but personality in spades.
Right, thank you so much for liking, hit subscribe, share, comment, do the generic stuff you do when you finish watching the video on YouTube. And we will see you again later on in the week when I am joined by JC as we watch WWF King of the Ring 97. So, yes, a little cheek. We're going through the 97 pay-per-views, WCW and WWF.
Oh, you're not? That's amazing. Oh, that's really, really cool. So I hate modern wrestling, but I love awful wrestling from the 90s. So I will tune into that myself. There we go.
Dude, we'll have to get you on a show at some point then, because we've had Nash on. He did WrestleMania 13, so
when you get to WCW's real dark era of 2001 with David Arquette, I have got some content for you. Honestly, I love that. My favorite period of wrestling.
We're doing that next. I'm already watching it at the minute, but yeah, after we've done 97, we're doing 2000s. So
right, you're having me on for Spring Stampede. It's my all-time favorite event, and it's absolutely stupid from start to finish. Yep. And I'm in on that. I'm absolutely
awesome. Awesome.
It's a date.
Right, there you go. A Work the Left Side exclusive. Priscilla will be back at least one more time for some WCW 2000 action. Thank you for liking, watching, and doing all the other stuff. We will see you again very soon. Goodbye.